In the past two videos, we discussed the primary initiatives and the interception initiatives. Today, we're going to talk about the delayed initiatives and how they work. Stay tuned. We'll talk about it. Welcome to Shihan's Dojo. I'm Shihan Marty Husband, and I'm here today to help you build your martial arts skills or knowledge, or if you want to learn a little bit more about the martial arts, tell you a little bit more about it. So if you're here for the first time, jab that subscribe button and punch the bell so we can notify you when we have a new video coming out. The question for today is, what kind of counterattack would you do after you've stopped the opponent's technique or blocked it? Let us know in the comments so we can get a discussion going here. Before we get started today, I'd like to also comment on a couple things about questions that were asked on the other videos. One of them was people were trying to figure out how to use those techniques I was using in the videos. Remember, in there I was showing you basically just the timing, distance, and reaction. It wasn't about the techniques I was trying to share with you there. In this, many different styles use different types of fighting. So try to apply that type of a thought when you're actually looking over these videos. And don't forget to ask any questions you want about that, then I'll try to answer it the best I possibly can. Today we're going to talk about delayed initiative. Delayed initiative is basically seizing the initiative later, or counterattacking after you've been able to block, stop, or control the opponent's arm. This is sometimes known as gono-sen in Japanese. This type of training is most often taught to beginners and inexperienced people with their timing, distance, and reaction in order to get them to block and counter for an opponent's attack upon them. Delayed initiative itself has many points that beginners and inexperienced fighters do not understand. They fail to understand it's not just a block counter that we use to stop the opponent right off the bat. No, this is to attack them before they can breathe or begin to make another move towards you. What you're striving to do is basically catch the opponent between the point of contact and the point of focus, and thereby taking away that from the opponent to counter and control the opponent with your own intervention of the techniques you're using. So in essence, your opponent will almost completely finish their technique when you get the counter, but they won't quite be there. Now don't get me wrong, in understanding delayed initiative, one must understand you're not trying to oppose the force that's coming directly at you, but to harmonize with those techniques in order to counter or control them as they're coming through. The mental aspects for delayed initiative can be quite simplistic and yet very difficult to learn. Just for a note, I did touch on the other two videos about knowing your legalities in a self-defense situation. In most situations that use gono-sen or delayed tactics or delayed initiative as we call it here, then you will often see that that is considered primary self-defense and is often understood by the legal community as a way of defending yourself by having the opponent attack first. This goes for self-defense especially, but in sport, of course, it's a little different. The first of the two is basically a defensive counter. This is probably one of the most common types that is seen for these delayed initiatives. Fighter basically blocks or redirects the attack of the opponent to a point where they're either controlling the opponent and being able to counter with the technique against them. Depending on self-defense, that attack can be either to knock them out or finish the opponent in self-defense situations. These can be done basically by drawing the opponent in, and as he comes in with the punch, you match the timing of theirs to redirect it, almost like we did with the parry in interception, except you don't attack until that technique is almost in position. You can either get the counter after the block or take him to the ground, depending on what style or what type of fighting you're trying to use. In many Korean and karate styles, a punch can be coming in on the inside of the body, and a person may use an inward block, known as a uchi-uri-uki in karate, but then to follow up with a punch or a kick or some type of counter to try and end the fight. The reality of this type of blocking is not to stop the opponent, but to chain your techniques in succession with a smooth flow and thereby attack the opponent and take the initiative and the advantage at that point. You never want to block somebody just with a hard block and lock it there, because then it gives them time to bounce back, lock, or protect the part of their body. With them being prepared like that, it might diminish your counterattack and not be as effective as it should have been. The second type is called changing posture. As we discussed in the first two, this is basically changing the position of your body and footwork to make sure you're out of the way of the technique. And then as the opponent misses the target, you then apply your counterattack. So a person has to be wary that once the attack is made, if they catch you moving too soon, they might pull back that punch and attack you in another way. So you need to be prepared for that when you're trying to do a sidestep, a inside catch, whatever you're trying to do for this type of a Gono-sen drill. Countering, of course, can be anything from hand to foot to some type of throw maybe that you're trying to get them, clothesline, whatever you like to use. I mean, in your fighting system, you have to see what is your proper block and counter or counter after a technique. No matter what, though, understand that if you go too soon or block too soon, like I said, they can pull back and start a different form of attack on you that you'll completely have to start over again on what type of initiative you're going to have to take at that point. By constantly learning how to step aside, either by bobbing or weaving or just plain dodging the technique, this will allow you to pick better openings where you might be able to either take the person down to the ground or even sidestep in and get a rear naked choke on them. Now, like I said, these are not the techniques necessarily you're going to use that I'm demonstrating here, but the ideals and principles of the timing and how it's being used. Understanding Gono-sen will give you a better advantage against stronger, quicker, and taller opponents if you understand the correct timing. Now, I know this video was a little shorter than the others, but I wanted to finish them up in their own merits so you could study each of these initiatives by themselves. There is no one initiative that is good or bad for any type of fighting system. If you understand the basic principles of this, you should be able to apply your favorite or best techniques into these types of fighting situations. If you like the video, poke like down there. Tell your friends about it so we can have Shihan's Dojo grow. Don't forget to answer the question of the day. What type of counterattack do you like to use when you are using this type of delayed initiative? We hope to see you again here on Shihan's Dojo.